Welcome back to Stab the Dragon Productions and Blended Scotch Reviews for episode number 33, coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas on Tuesday, October 28th, 2025, where we've had a beautiful fall day. Started off at 71 degrees this morning, and now we're had a cold front come through at 63 degrees. I'm conducting a survey and tournament of many of the notable blended scotches, and a few not so notable, but I'm now taking a side trip to conduct our second family feud, focusing on the famous Grouse family, the Grouse, the Grouses, Grouchi. We've already studied the famous Grouse and the Ruby Cask, Bourbon Cask, and Smoky Black. And we've had the first match between the famous Grouse and the Ruby Cask, in which the original famous Grouse won, and that kind of surprised me a bit. Tonight, we're pitting Bourbon Cask against Smoky Black. Head-to-head competition. This is the way to do it if you're going to figure out which whiskeys you really like the best. This will be a blind competition, but before we actually get to that competition thing, I go through all the standard questions that I ask every whiskey when I'm doing a review. And so I'll kind of compare the answers between these two whiskeys to see which one seems to have the edge. But then we'll do the competition where I start by sniffing, nosing the whiskeys, seeing what they smell like, and then go to the taste test and try to determine a winner. And then as part of the fun, I try to determine which whiskey's in which glass, because they are blacked out and there's numbers on the bottom. The Bourbon Cask is glass number 1. The Smoky Black is glass number 2. And then I've mixed up the glasses. Now, my theory is, before we do this, Smoky Black has got peat in it. I should be able to smell that, maybe, and then pretty much when I taste it. So even though these glasses are blacked out, there's such a difference between these two whiskeys, I'm thinking it's going to be easy to determine which is which. However, I've said things like that before and failed utterly. So we'll see. The winner of this match might actually get a cocktail. First, the history. The Bourbon Cask dates back to 2018, but I kind of think it's gone away. It's no longer listed on the website. It's not in the stores. So Bourbon Cask may be a ghost whiskey now. The Smoky Black Grouse goes back further to 2015. And then really, that was just a rebranding of the Black Grouse, which goes back to like 2008, I think. So for history, Smoky Grouse wins. Now, for bottle, label, and marketing, the bottles are identical. The labels are different, and that's what distinguishes the different Grouse from each other. But on the Smoky, you've got the Black Grouse. Look at that. That's a beautiful bird. And on the Bourbon Cask, you have a kind of a red grouse, but there's only one wing. Where's the other wing? I'm not sure why they left off the other wing. Did somebody eat the other wing? Has it been wounded? Was somebody hunting and they blew a wing off? I don't know what's wrong with that bird. There's just one wing. So something about that doesn't look right. But when it comes time to just evaluate the labels, I tend to prefer the Black Grouse. I don't know, just looks nicer. So marketing is going to be about the same for these. There's no special marketing for either one. So Black Grouse wins the bottle, label, and marketing. Appearance. Well, here in the bottles, you can see that the Smoky Black is a little bit darker, maybe, just a little bit, than the Bourbon Cask. And so it's not much darker. Actually, when I compared it with Ruby Cask, I think Ruby Cask is a little bit darker than the Smoky. So I prefer darker whiskeys. So appearance, the Smoky Grouse wins again. Composition. Well, the Bourbon Cask It's got a little extra age in it because they finish it in a bourbon cask. But the Smoky Grouse has got a little bit better recipe in that it includes whiskeys from Glenturret, a Highland peated malt, and unnamed Isla sources, probably Kalila. So for composition, I'm going to say it's a tie, because they both have some special things going on there. Price, value, and availability. While the Smoky Grass is, I keep wanting to say Smoky Grass, it's Grouse, Smoky Grouse. This is at least $5 more than the Bourbon Cask. The Bourbon Cask is about $25, $26. This is going to run you $30 to $32, $33, so maybe as much as $8 more. But availability is the issue now, because the Bourbon Cask is not in stores anywhere that I can tell. Not on websites. It's a ghost whiskey. So the Smoky Grouse is available, and so therefore it wins price, value, and availability. As far as value, I value both of these, but just offhand, I tend to prefer the Smoky Grouse the best. We'll see what the taste test determines, but price, value, and availability goes to the Smoky Grouse for the win. Now, neat or mixer. Both of these worked in a mixed drink or cocktail. The Bourbon Grouse we put in a ginger ale. No, 7-Up. It was a 7-Up. And that actually worked pretty well. The Smoky Grouse, I made a smoky old-fashioned based off of what I saw on the Famous Grouse website. They offered some cocktail suggestions. And while that was pretty good, the peated smoke element seemed to have disappeared in that. But both of them have the flexibility to be used in a mixed drink or cocktail. So I think, yeah, that may be a tie. Smoky might have some advantage, but I don't know. I'm going to say it's a tie. So let's go now to the nosing and tasting. And again, I don't know which whiskey is in which glass. I will start on my left. And when I nosed the Bourbon Cask for the first time, I actually got some vanilla out of that deal, which is rare for me. I'm not sure what I'm getting. Neither of these had a really strong nose. But I'm not getting much on that one. Let's try the one on my right. Wow. My nose is not working tonight. Both of these smell about the same. So I'm not getting any peat. Not getting any vanilla tonight. Getting a whole lot of nothing. I'm going to say maybe marginally the one on the left might have the stronger nose. I'm thinking I'm getting just a little dose of peat now. Yeah. So I'm going to say the left wins the nose. And, that may be peated. So what that does, I've learned this before. I go to the weaker nose to start sipping. Because if you sip the stronger whiskey first, it wrecks your palate for the weaker whiskey. All right, so the one on the right. And I'm going to say that's the Bourbon Cask. So that should be glass number 1. Because I am getting the vanillas Some oak tannins, caramel. I mean, you can tell that's got some bourbon flavors going on. So that's my initial take. The glass on the right is glass number 1. I think that's the bourbon cask. And that's pretty good. I mean, I really do like that. And those bourbon notes linger on the finish. That's very nice pour, definitely. All right, I'm going in on the one on the left. Yeah, I'm definitely getting peat smoke on there. That is the Smoky Black. That's glass number 2. You get some mild sweetness, maybe some apples and pears right at the front. About mid-palate, the smoke starts hitting, and the smoke evolves. You know, it's gentle at first, and then it gets stronger as it goes to the back, and then the finish is dominated by the smoke. Now, the smoke is not really all that powerful. This is a lightly peated whiskey. This would be a great introductory whiskey for people who've not tried peated whiskeys. So, but clearly I'm going to go with the taste on the one on the left. Because of the peat, I'm kind of a little peat head, I think. And then the mouthfeel, the burn, and the finish. The mouthfeel and the burn are going to be equal on these, but the finish is where both of these whiskeys excel. The bourbon cask gives you a bourbony finish. The peat smoke gives you peat smoke finish. And since I prefer that, then there you go. So that gives me a real winner for sure. The one on the left, I declare to be my favored of the two. Let's make sure that I have actually identified this properly. The one on the left should be glass number 2, the Smoky Black. And it is. The one on the right, number 1, is the Bourbon Cask. Ding, ding, ding. Both of these are good. I'm sorry if that Bourbon Cask is disappearing, because that's just really good. But the Smoky Black is in the core lineup of Famous Grouse for a reason. And that's just really good. So we have a winner, and I have identified properly which was which. So now all that remains is, does the winner get a cocktail? And I would say most certainly. So let me go make a cocktail really quick. I'm back, and I have made a Godfather. A Godfather is a real simple cocktail. You simply use the whiskey and an amaretto, and I use Di Serono right there. I don't have a big bottle of Di Serono because I don't use enough to warrant buying a big bottle. I use about a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons at the most. Amaretto is very, very sweet. And so I only mix it with peated whiskeys. I've not had a Godfather with Smoky Black. The other day I made an old fashioned, and before that I think I used some Drambuie and made a rusty nail. So this is going to be my first Famous Grouse Smoky Black Godfather. I've got a lemon slice in there too. And that is pretty good. This time, the peat smoke is still identifiable. With the old fashioned that I made yesterday, peat smoke disappeared. There was no peat flavor. This one still get the peat flavor, I get a little bit of the Di Serono. You know, I may not have added enough. I'm going to put another drop or two of Di Serono in there. Stir that around a little bit. That'd be the first time I didn't put enough Di Serono in there. It's a little bit better. Except now, see, that's the trade-off. Now I think it disappeared the peat smoke. Oh well. All right. Well, we have a winner. Famous Grouse Smoky Black. So what that means is we've got to have a loser's bracket. The loser's bracket will be Ruby Cask against Bourbon Cask. Right? So these two are going to have to go head to head. But then we'll also have to do the winner's bracket with the original Famous Grouse versus Smoky Black. So these are the two winners. And it gets even better because I've also got the Naked Grouse right here. They've changed the name to Naked Malt, but that's what this is. So this is not a blended Scotch, it's a blended malt. And I've never tried this before, so we'll have to review that. And, you know, will it be a fair fight? Putting that against the winner of the blended Scotches? I don't know. Now, immediately, though, coming up this week, what I hope to do, since it is the week of Halloween, is do a review of Smokehead Isla Scotch single malt. This is a heavily peated single malt, and you know, just the looks of it, it's perfect for Halloween week. Why not? All right, this is Stab the Dragon for Blended Scotch Reviews. Out here.